My name is Matthew, and I have today for you a shamanic stories style card reading. And the reason that I like to call it like that is to emphasize the stories part, is that I believe that our whole reality, the way that it is constructed with our consciousness, is that stories are one of the most important things, and the narratives that we tell ourselves is a large part of what is creating our reality and creating our society and our experiences that as we know it. A lot of what is created subjectively for us to experience depends on the stories that we tell ourselves about it. And I believe that there's it could be the difference between complete empowerment and total slavery and victimization, just based on the stories that you tell yourself about certain situations. So here at this channel, I'm trying to help to do some storytelling and frame things in such a way that's more empowering and liberating for you. So we're going to pull through today a story, a timeline for you here. We're going to tell it in chronological order. But first I'm going to ask to get an overall energy reading from this elemental oracle deck. I'm going to get overall theme for this story, for this Scorpio reading here. Now, by the way, you don't necessarily need to have Scorpio anywhere in your chart. This is more important thing is that the story itself resonates with you rather than the zodiac sign. But this is just a convenient format for YouTube. So let's see, what kind of story here do we have today? What is the theme? Fury, bushfires. This is intense. Look at that there. So this is, wrath, nature's wrath. So, well, of course, bushfires are natural, and it could be in some ecosystems. Fire is part of the life cycle. And Australia is a good example of that. And the Aboriginal people had a system of nature keeping where they actually encouraged and cultivated these bushfires. But they did it. They had a certain controlled way that they would do that, depending on a lot of factors. They would pay attention always to the signs and signals of the environment. They would do it at specific times of the year in a certain specific way that would actually overall enhance the health of the ecosystem. But what I'm getting here, it looks kind of like the opposite. So this is like when things get just out of control and there's not been a wisdom keeping of anything applied to the situation, and that there's been a kind of injustice, some type of injustice, which hasn't been acknowledged, or because of the injustice as a result of what happened, that people are furious, and rightly so. It's the feeling that I'm getting. So let's dive a little bit more deep. Let's actually ask now for a chronological story. What is going on with this energy here? Let's get some more details into this story. Okay, awareness. So again, actually here there's a fire. There's a fire here. So this could be potentially something which has been complete injustice, which has now been through the fire, through people's expressing their rage about the situation. They have brought a new level of awareness. Now this could be to the more general public, to raise awareness about an issue. Some kind of perhaps a very long-standing injustice. This could be ancestral as well, even. Okay, so morality. Potentially inflicted by institutional forces or religious forces, religious organizations or institutions, or just, if not directly, through the belief systems that have been ingrained in people from those historical religious institutions. And we have consciousness here. So I see these as kind of opposite energies. So the sense of there being, and there's two layers of this picture as well. So, okay, this is coming in through two dimensions at the same time. So let me try and clarify this. So here that we have, this is morality. So this is what is to do with what's right and what's wrong. And I was talking earlier about what is like extreme injustices that that when something that it feels so wrong to your core that it has occurred, that when you feel into that, when you think about that, when that is triggered in you, it just creates this fire in the belly, this furiousness, like divine fury of how could this happen, right? Because it's just not fair. But especially when it's happening under the watchfulness or inside the context of this system of something, a morality or something which is meant to instruct people of like what is right and wrong. So I'm getting really strongly in this vibe a sense of like a religion or a church or some type of organized social group like that, where they have a sort of claim to morality and they try to teach and instruct people about what is right and wrong. But this could also just be in general government with their laws and what they make illegal and legal. But the point being that what the authority and the structure and the system deems as acceptable or legal or moral is not necessarily in alignment with reality or what is naturally that we would feel that to be so. Like that's a deeper issue here. So for example, like churches have done many things or members of churches have been with impunity have been allowed to do horrible, unspeakable things to people throughout the centuries. And so I'm seeing now I've seen this on two levels here. So there's this gray clouds and this smoke and this fog is like this this veil that's been put over top, and it's been shrouding everything. But here we see this fire, this fury, this is raising awareness, and it's burning through here. And there's this little Buddha, you see this Buddha nature child here coming through, and it's this thing, this consciousness. So it's creating an awakening now, basically, is what is happening. A higher level of consciousness, and that this is something which is aligned with natural law. So it's when you just know deeply in your heart and in your soul what is truly right or wrong in a situation. So let's expand on this going forward now in the timeline of this story. Let's get some more context here. The miser. Oh, I almost went in the candle. Adventure. It's not visible to the camera. Hold on, let me move these cards a little. So, okay, this miser here. Participation. So it looks to me like I'm seeing these two now in similar energy. This kind of the woman being a bit old and shriveled there, and like dry. And so this is like the something was stolen. I want to say that this is the vibe that I'm getting. So something was stolen. This can be wealth, resources, land. I'm getting now the vibe of like colonization with all of this like religious symbolism that was coming in here. And at the beginning I was imagining this in the bushfires of Australia and how the Aboriginal people had their the wisdom of their land keeping practices that came from close connection with nature. But that this is something like the riches, the wealth, the land, the resources was stolen. And it's been on a large scale a massive injustice, which has rather remained uncorrected, and it's just generated underneath this this fury, just of the when people do know, the people who are affected by it, I don't even know how to speak to that, because it's even beyond my experience, and it's just such intense emotions and the trauma of that. But the point being, though, that it's created through this is it's sparking these awakenings and this raising of consciousness for the greater collective. And what I'm seeing here now, so that is that there's this adventure card is this figure is a little child here going off on this adventure, and I'm seeing it like the rainbow energy that's coming off of these jewels is resonating with the rainbow energy of what this child is walking into. So what I'm seeing here is that it's creating this, I want to say this is global, because I'm seeing here also this rainbow of colors of the people, the rainbow of colors of people coming together and working together. And this is card is called participation. So there's been like a richness, like a spiritual traditions, or like ways that people would naturally connect with the land, and relate with material resources and create wealth, and like in a physical way, but also in a spiritual way, in the sense of like being able to feel fulfillment and peace and contentment in a way that you can't find in just materialistic cultures, right? Because we have some countries and cultures now on the planet where there's an extreme amount of wealth but there's some of the most dissatisfied people on the planet because they're spiritually hollow. They're not, so no matter, there's like a void there that can't be filled with any amount of riches or wealth or resources or material goods. But anyway, but back to this, I'm seeing this like, so perhaps like it sparked in those cultures more of this, it's a rather innocent energy, this exploration and moving into the to exploring these parts of our more ancient common ancestry of humanity, of our spiritual nature, and of the kind of cultures that would be more connected with the land itself. And there's been, yes, this renaissance, this awakening of this, and there's been movements in various ways that have been trying to balance the scales a little bit, dismantle this systemic power structure, and at the same time, on the other end of it, now some of the people, especially those that come from colonizer cultures, like this is all a very new thing for them, so they're in some way exploring this like a child coming into these spiritual traditions that some indigenous groups have been maintaining for thousands, tens of thousands of years of accumulated wisdom, And then, we come into it with perhaps nothing or no. It's not that our ancestors didn't have these practices, but the chain has been broken so severely that we have no cultural mechanism or like connection to that anymore. So anyway, that we're coming together now into these new formations, these new constellations, and doing this spiritual work to revive these things or spread them and teach them multiculturally, globally. And at the same time, that I see doing that work is what is raising this consciousness, which is ultimately, piece by piece, disassembling these systems that are on a larger structure, maintaining the injustice. So let's see, as a conclusion for this, what's going on. Oh, was there one? Almost. Okay. The rebel. Let's do one more. The fool. Okay. Well, that's really beautiful. Way to end. So, the rebel here is the empowered masculine. So this is, I guess, because this is like breaking the chains of the past, right? And this, I guess, would be the antithesis to patriarchy and toxic masculinity. So, this is, yes. So I'm seeing like these chains, and now also like connected with these bars here. So this is like what I was just saying the moment before I shuffled out the cards of that piece by piece, this participation in new, actually old, but for us, like combining our tribes and our subcultures and cultures in new ways and mixing and blending them together. It's breaking the limitations of our past and the kind of, even, I want to say, even we're coming to a place that we can transcend even long-standing cultural wounds and wars, and because at a certain point we do need to heal all of that too if we're going to be really one species, one humanity, and really like be in harmony with nature. We have to be in harmony with ourselves and with the different tribes of each other, and we can't let these same cultural wounds and wars reproduce themselves generation after generation. At some point the chain has to be broken and a healing has to take place. So this is what I'm seeing here, and it's coming to the peak where all of this trauma has kind of collectively boiled together enough to create enough of a wave of awareness and awakening, which is rippling out now and creating these changes which themselves will ripple to the systemic level. And the key I see is to have open-mindedness, all of us, of our various cultures, of new ways of doing things, and we can blend together the best of the ancient ways with our newer cultures as well, and to try and make something, like a new way of relating with the physical realm, with nature and with resources and material wealth here. and it will be liberating. It'll be for, we have two energies here at the end of liberation, so the rebel and the fool. So this is like, again, this is also has the theme of that type of childlike energy here. So this is a really beautiful thing, and this is really appropriate, I think, for a Scorpio energy reading, because Scorpio has that uh, association to the phoenix and the death and rebirth and rising from the ashes. So this is like from the very worst type of pain and trauma and destruction, and through the fire and surviving through the fire of that and burning it all up, and then what is reborn through that is the future of humanity and the future of how we can collaborate across cultures and to heal these divisions between the many tribes of humanity. And wow, that got really deep, Scorpio. That was a really heavy one. But thank you very much. I'm gonna leave the reading here for you now. And please comment down below. How did this resonate with you? Do you tell me any stories? How does it personally relate to your life? I love to read your comments, and like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and yeah, I will see you next time. Thanks.